Well, you must have heard one of the worst kept secrets of football. Hazard wanted to go to Real Madrid, so he's ended up at Real Madrid because Real Madrid are in a process of rebuilding. And we've been talking about that all season. But there is a lot of things that have come out from this signing, which will be around 100 million euros, that may be of interest to you. First of all, it goes against the tide because this is Real Madrid going to the Premier League and getting the best player around. Now, it seems like even the Premier League clubs cannot compete with what Barcelona and Real Madrid have got in terms of prestige, history. You have to say that because every time there is a top player from the Premier League, he seems to be wanting to spend the bigger years of his career at Real Madrid or Barcelona. Now, that I think is against the tide because, of course, we've seen the English side succeeding in Europe. And I think we've started a new trend, one that pays physicality, the tactical acumen that you accumulate, of course, with having the coaches that the Premier League have, may start a new era. We'll have to see. But in any case, what we're seeing is that the top player of the Premier League going to Real Madrid. And Real Madrid needed to make an effort, as we've been saying for a long time. They had not signed a top player since 2014, that was James Rodriguez. And since then, a lot of interest and a lot of focus, a lot of finances have got into the stadium. But Real Madrid always said that should not affect the money that goes into the squad. We didn't fully believe it because what Real Madrid tried to do is to get the best youngsters around and try to make them grow at Real Madrid. Well, we've seen that is a policy that perhaps it doesn't work as easily as they may have thought. Marco Asensio being a clear case in point. But it's with Hazard is one of the signings that actually will mean that Real Madrid are going to invest over 250 million into the squad. But they need to sell. They know that. Let's see. The ones that are coming. Rodrigo, who is a little bit like Vinicius, plays on the left-hand side, coming inside, but better goal scorer than Vinicius, still 18 for Brazil. Not sure of their development, so we'll see what happens with him because he uses a little bit the space that Hazard will use from the left coming inside. You've got Militao, of course, the centre-back that's going to make the defensive line stronger than it has been, with Varane and still Sergio Ramos perhaps ahead of him. You've got Hazard, of course, arriving. Jovic, to a striker. We've been asking for a striker to Real Madrid for the whole season. It's not just to replace the 50 goals of Ronaldo, it's just actually to be at the end of something or to wait for the ball to get to him because a lot of the times Benzema was the 9 and the 10 and when he made move there was nobody in the box. So Jovic may not start all the time, but certainly somebody that will bring a lot of goals to Real Madrid. And Mendy. Mendy, of course, the left back of Lyon, who actually will be signed. Everybody expects that to be the case. He's even passed a medical, and all Lyon has said, no chance, this has not happened yet. Real Madrid expect him to become a player for Real Madrid. So, who will go? That's a fair question. And, of course, you are talking about Isco being in the market. You're talking about the likes of Mariano, who also they want to get rid of. Llorente in the midfield as well. Vallejo will go too. Kovacic. In fact, right now there are 35 players in the first squad of Real Madrid. So I don't think they will sell any of the big players, say Benzema or Marco Asensio, of course. Modric, Kroos, of course, who's renewed his contract. Marcelo, even Carvajal, all those will stay. But all of a sudden, there's going to be 5 players that will actually challenge for the lineup. That's exactly what every other club that's in the market right now, some of the top clubs in the world, want. And Real Madrid have managed to sort that out pretty quickly. Just look at the situation in Barcelona, still looking for a number 9. Manchester United, of course. Manchester City just needs little touches. Let's see what Chelsea can do. Arsenal will have to negotiate fees and try to look for the best players for them, not always getting the first choice. Liverpool, I still don't believe the link to De Ligt, but certainly they may get 1 or 2 players to improve things, but squad players I will assume. So Real Madrid have gone and sort all that out. Partly because, of course, what Zidane wants is a team that can get together as soon as possible and compete for the title. He has been such a poor couple of seasons in the league, but more than that, really. Only, I think Barcelona have won 8 of the last 11 titles in the league. So it's time to change the dynamic. That's what Zidane would like. And there is still one player that they're going to go for. That could be Eriksen if it's down to the president, or that could be Pogba if it's down to Zidane. I think Eriksen is right in saying that Real Madrid have not approached Spurs about him because if eventually they go for him, and we'll see if Zidane convinces the president to go for Pogba first. More on that in a minute. But if they go for Eriksen, it doesn't make any sense to do it now. It'd be better to do it later in the summer because you know how Daniel Levy negotiates. On Pogba, the club is divided and they realize there is a big investment to be made. Perhaps it was what the president of Real Madrid wants to put to Zidane is like, look, we've got these 5 new players. We spent over 270 million, and this will be me an investment of even 500 if Mino Raiola gets it his way in terms of the transfer fee, the wages, and the commission to Mino Raiola. It's a lot of money, so I don't think Real Madrid will end up with Pogba, but the summer could be very, very long. Eriksen will be expensive, not as expensive. And it will certainly fill a gap in the middle, somebody to replace eventually Modric. Now, I said that Modric is not for sale, and the idea is to keep him. But they're going to have to sell enough with the other players that they want to get rid of to actually get the net spending close to 100 million, no much more than that. Because I believe that's the maximum that Real Madrid can spend in net spending, not to go over financial fair play. If that's the case, they're going to recoup about 150, 170 million euros. They reckon they will be able to, but that means some of the players that we mentioned to go, Keylor Navas, of course, being another one. So there is all that. I just thought I'll break my little holiday, which won't be little, to actually tell you a little bit what I felt of it. In terms of, to finish off, in terms of what it represents for Real Madrid, this is somebody with quality, somebody that will adapt very well to what Zidane proposes, which is, of course, the fact that, give freedom to the players up front. Could be, as we said, plays on the left-hand side coming inside, but he could also start playing a different role, which could be more central. The problem is Benzema uses a lot of it. It's important the synchronization between Benzema and Hazard. Benzema, who likes to play as a number 10, but so does Hazard, they're going to have to understand that at some point there is other spaces that have to be used. If you've got the ball through the centre, that's Hazard, Benzema will have to open up or get in behind the defence. If Jovic is there, then Benzema also will have to find other roles. But I think one of the qualities that Zidane as a coach has got is to leave that freedom to the players to adapt to each other, and talent does manage to find a way. It's exciting to see Hazard at Real Madrid. My only concern is that you saw with Sarri, he disappears from games sometimes when he wants to get hold of a game. He's fantastic as one of the top 5 players in the world, no doubt. But I just wonder if perhaps mentally he was tired of what Sarri was forcing him to do. I've told you early in the season, Sarri wasn't convinced that Hazard was the type of player that he needed a different type of footballer. Well, at Real Madrid, he'll be able to more or less do whatever he wants. It's exciting from that point of view, but it will require for him to work hard without the ball, because you now have got with Benzema as well 2 players that are not the strongest at that, and you cannot ever again play with only 8 players defending. That's not possible anymore if you want to be consistent in the long run. So, exciting news for La Liga, that gets one of the best players in the world. Exciting news for Real Madrid, and Hazard finally gets his dream.